All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division, talking about how Gervonta "Tank" Davis's team has clearly triggered Devin Haney by calling him out, saying they want the fight, and telling Devin Haney what he needs to do in order to get the fight. Devin Haney responds with something that, according to reports, I didn't hear him actually say it, but something that is flat out outlandish. But let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're in the 135-pound division, talking about Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Devin "the Dream" Haney, and a fight that the two camps are talking about having in an absolutely entertaining and enlightening conversation. Before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. We often have very, very good, fun conversations like the one we're having right now. If you are a longtime subscriber or supporter of the channel, thank you so, so much for your continued support in the live streams that we do and in the videos that we do on a daily basis. All right, so let's get to this short story first. Gervonta Davis, his camp, has been very adamant that they want to fight Devin Haney or are willing to fight Devin Haney next. He has said they have said that he is a free agent. That means he can fight who he wants to fight, and he's a free agent because he wants to be able to get the big fights. Right. And obviously, at 135 pounds, Gervonta Davis, the big name fights that he may be able to have include Devin "the Dream" Haney, who was the undisputed champion at 135 pounds for sure. And in this video, I am telling you, I am not riding with one guy or another guy. I am calling it like I see it. However, in the conversation that has taken place, I have to say, man, that I watched the interview that took place with Calvin Ford. Calvin Ford is the trainer of Gervonta "Tank" Davis / father figure. If Calvin Ford is talking on behalf of Gervonta Davis, very safe to say that Gervonta Davis knows about this, and that is a meaningful communication, right? He was talking to Devin Haney's manager, and I do believe the CEO of Devin Haney Promotions, his father, Bill Haney. So if Bill Haney is talking and saying things on behalf of Devin, very, very safe to say that he is representing Devin Haney in a very straightforward manner, right? So word came out today that Devin Haney, in response to some conversations that are going on, tells Gervonta Davis, look, I will drop my belts. I will drop my belts, championship belts. Fight me or keep my name out of your mouth. Absolutely funny to me, because I've been listening to all the conversations and I've listened to what Gervonta Davis's team specifically told them they needed to do in order to get the fight. And he said they were basically like, look, you need to pay step-aside money to George Kambosos and get out of that fight. And if you can get out of that fight with George Kambosos, we will fight you. Right? Now, I have never heard Gervonta Davis, this is not Ryan Garcia, okay? I've never heard Gervonta Davis say that he wants to fight somebody and not fight them, right? If this was Ryan Garcia talking about Gervonta Davis, or Ryan Garcia talking about somebody else, somebody with a history of not taking fights, I would say okay. But Gervonta never calls people out because he is, you know what they say, the cash cow in the division. Other people call him out. But in this particular instance, he is going out of his way to say, look, I want to fight Devin Haney next. But what Devin Haney needs to do is he needs to prove to me that he can have the fight, which is and we know how you can get it. You can get the fight by paying step-aside money to George Kambosos. Now, in response to this, Devin's team says, I'll drop the belts. How exactly does that help with the problem? Because the reason that the fight between Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis is a big fight is because the fight would be for the undisputed title of the world. So what good would it do to drop the belts? It wouldn't do any good to drop the belts because that would take away a lot of the allure of the fight. In this fight, you have Gervonta Davis, who is a big knockout, big popular fighter, knockout puncher, all of that good stuff, knockout artist. And you have Devin Haney as the very, very slick, talented, boxing scientist that is the undisputed champion in the weight class. If Devin Haney drops those belts and they're not fighting for the undisputed title, how is that a motivating factor for Gervonta Davis to fight him? That is pretty much saying, I will fight you, but you cannot be undisputed champion if you beat me. Right? So here's the other problem with that. And this is why I personally think that it is just talk, because of the information, the public information that is available. Again, the public information. Bob Arum has already accounted for the fact that Devin Haney may not fight George Kambosos next. And what he said was that if Devin Haney wins the fight against George Kambosos and then he decides to move up to 140 pounds, he has to fight a top-ranked fighter. Somebody else with top rank, because Bob Arum, in exchange for paying for the fight, his portion of paying for the fight with Devin Haney and George Kambosos, he has an option on Devin. And according to Bob Arum, it's an option on Devin whether or not he fights George Kambosos or next, regardless. If he goes to 140, he still has to fight with somebody that Bob Arum approves and Bob Arum sets up a fight with, right? Now, what is the likelihood that is going to be Gervonta Davis? So remember, he not only has to get George Kambosos out, he has to get out of the George Kambosos fight. Devin Haney, even if he drops the belts, still has to get out of the contract that he has with Bob Arum. So how exactly is that going to work by him dropping the belts? Look, and then the portion where he says, or fight me or keep my name out your mouth. He already said he wants to fight you. I'll fight you. Get out of the fight with George Kambosos so that we can fight with all those belts on the line. Why would he want to fight Devin Haney without all of those belts in the line, right? Because right now, if that's the case, he's just fighting somebody without any titles. No different than fighting anybody else. Now, you could say, well, everybody would know that Devin Haney is the champion, all of that, right? But is Devin Haney really going to go in there with no belts? And could you imagine what the purse split and the pay is going to be for that fight? It's going to be a lot to dang near nothing, because that means that Devin Haney also does not have a network to fight on, because ESPN is not going to take that fight if Devin breaches his contract with George Kambosos, doesn't take that, drops that, breaches his contract with Top Rank, the only organization promoter that has a contract with Top Rank. I just wonder under what mechanism and how can this work, right? So I am just left to the conclusion that Gervonta Davis may have just triggered Devin Haney into saying something that he might not have thought through all the way and really doesn't have any intention on following through. Again, because the reason that the fight between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney is important at all is because it is a fight for the undisputed title, and there is something for Gervonta Davis to really gain out of that fight. Otherwise, it's just a difficult fight against a guy that I would assume isn't even going to be ranked in the sanctioning bodies once he drops those belts. Because where are you going to go? If you vacate the belt, do you go to number one? You go to number two? How does that work, right? So it's just not very practical. I don't think it's very real. And at the end of the day, in order for that fight to get made, Devin Haney is going to have to find a way to get out of the fight with George Kambosos. Now, is that, a situation where Gervonta Davis is just, he calls for the fight at a time where it's very difficult for Devin to actually make a fight? That may be true, may not be true. But the fact of the matter is he's telling you straight up. Calvin Ford said straight up in a conversation with Devin Haney's manager, Bill Haney, told him straight up, this is what you got to do. Get out of that fight with George Kambosos, pay that man step aside money, be free and clear to fight Gervonta, then we can sit down and make an undisputed fight against the biggest cash cow in the division. And from here on out, we will see what happens. My guess is that Devin Haney is going to go fight George Kambosos. And then after that, Devin Haney is going to fight the next guy that Bob Arum has. And at that point in time, if he gets through those things, then Gervonta Davis and he can talk about fighting if Devin Haney can still make the weight. Anyway, that's my take in the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.